Isaiah P.
My name's Isaiah and I'm an addict. What's happening? I was trying to think about what I was gonna say all week, but my life has gotten really busy. And I tried to think about it today, and my life was even more busier. With 4.5 years clean, life gets like that. My story is a lot to me. And this program has given me a life that is so unbelievable today. I'm a product of a divorce. My parents are from South America, Guyana, and growing up in LA, California, my household was so different than the streets. So I was caught in between trying to figure out who I was. And then at the age of 7, I was in this really tragic car accident with my sisters and my mother. I was smashed, the big old Astro van, this was 97, 96. This Astro van that we were driving got hit by a drunk driver. The drunk driver died. My mom was propelled through the window. My sister was thrown over here. My other sister was thrown over there. And I was smashed between the floorboard and the seat. They used the jaws of life to get me out, and they airlifted me to USC Children's Hospital. I had massive brain swelling, stayed in the hospital for weeks. And then I got released probably a few months later. And I tried to get back to life, right? I'm in grade school. I'm dealing with all this trauma. I'm dealing with the stuff at home. And I didn't know how to deal with life. So school wasn't working for me. So I turned to the streets. And my whole point in life at this point was to become the hardest gangbanger out there, right? I was down to do whatever, however I could to prove myself to the streets. And I accomplished that, I would assume, I put my all into that, I ended up going to jail for the first time when I was 13 for residential burglary. And my life just continued to crumble from there. I had my son at the age of 16. I met this little, he was 22, I was 16. I felt good about that. Moved in, started playing daddy. Didn't know nothing about being a dad. And I ran havoc through her and her son's life, though. Because I didn't know how to live life. I didn't know anything I was just an angry young man growing up. Very confused. A lot of bad information was given to me. I remember kicking it with the big homies, and they wouldn't let me smoke weed, but they would let me drink, So I was drinking 211s out of a straw, going to the local Rite Aid, stealing bottles, I was that guy, kicking it with my aunties, we drinking Boone's Farms and stuff like that. Y'all know what's up, all that ghetto stuff, right? That cheap stuff, right? Eventually, like I said, I had a son. I was locked up when my son was born, and I got out. I was 18, and I was I'm a man now. I ain't gotta depend on my dad no more. I ain't gotta listen to my mom no more. I'm gonna do this myself, right? But that wasn't the case, right? I was still living a really dangerous lifestyle. I was working at Walmart, and I used to carry my gun pushing carts, because I had enemies, right? And I was man, if they catch me out here, I gotta be ready. But then it dawned on me, I'm man, if I go to shooting in the parking lot, I'm on camera, I got a son, I'm gonna lose the job that I just finally got, this I gotta do something different. So I moved to Atlanta, where my mom was at, and my life got a little bit better there. But I left my son behind, and leaving my son behind messed me up too. And in this program, I've learned to process these feelings, right? In this program, I have men in my life today and women in my life today that have helped me realize the insanity in which I was living in, right? And through the step work with my sponsor, I've been able to overturn some of these stones, which really and truly is the heart of my disease. Drugs was only a symptom for me, right? For me, the drugs came when I was 25. For me, the drugs, when I got the drugs in my system, the effort, I got kids in here, but I cuss, but the effort in my system was just fully awakened. You know, once I started messing with crystal meth and cocaine, it was just, I don't have to care about anything. And my life completely started to disintegrate. And I was in this relationship with my youngest daughter's mom. And I had just had brain surgery. I had a tumor in my ear, from going from the nerve in my ear to my brain. And when they took it out, I was doing, and let me put this together the right way, because this is hard for me. I didn't know about the tumor, right? I had got with this lady. I had kids already, and I thought I had it figured out, right? We had an apartment, I had a job, I had a car. I was in love, right? We decided to have this kid together. I was gonna do it, and then I found out about this tumor. And when I found out about the tumor, everything just stopped. And that's when I found cocaine. And then I started dabbling with crystal meth. And I never was there for her throughout her pregnancy. I became very detached, very disassociated, and suicidal. Became suicidal. And then months throughout the pregnancy, I was like, I'm gonna stop. I'm trying to stop using, but I can't. But I'm gonna stop before they do the surgery, because if I go into the surgery and I got drugs in my system, they're probably not gonna do the surgery. So I gotta get this thing out of my head though. So I kind of stopped for a little bit. And then when I had the tumor removed, things got worse. And I went right back, if not got worse, at my using. I became again drastically suicidal, cutting myself. I tried to hang myself. And I got this beautiful little girl that I'm trying to be a father to. I got this woman that I'm trying to be a man to, husband, fiance to, and I didn't know what I was doing. I was losing myself. Eventually, I catch a domestic violence case with her. I go out one night, I get high, I get drunk, and I come in and I'm tripping, and I put my hands on her. I go to jail. I get out of jail. I run around Portland a little bit longer. And I got a sweet deal. I thought it was a sweet deal to go back to LA, where I'm my home, and kind of just figure out life from there. And when I got there, things got worse. I was like, the Prince is home, where the homies at, but a lot of my homies was locked up. So I met new homies, and all my new homies used. And I became homeless, like drastically homeless, like with no doors to knock on. It was just me and my pipe. I ended up on Skid Row. And the things that I witnessed on Skid Row were horrible. Was deep. It touched me and blew my mind in ways that I can't even describe to y'all. I ran around LA for like 3 years, just getting high, depressed. So I got some advice though in that process. I was going to some homeless shelters and stuff. And I found a treatment center called Tarzana Treatment Center in Long Beach, California, right? And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to this treatment center. I don't really got a problem, but it's co-ed, right? And they got meals, and it ain't a shelter, and they offering housing. let me just slide my way up in there and I'll be all right, right? So I stay there for like 60 days. I leave because I'm having the drug. I didn't think I had a problem with drugs yet, but I'm having these like vivid dreams of using and stuff like that. And I really didn't know how to put it together. It was just super uncomfortable for me. And I left. I had this female I was talking to. I was like, get the hotel room. I'm going to get out. I can do this myself. And about 3 days later, I relapsed. And about 2 days after that, the psychosis hit. A day after that, me and her at each other. 2 days after that, I'm just back on the streets, running wild, right? But God was in this story for me. There was some God in this. I left Oregon on probation. And I wasn't checking in with my probation officer in California, so she put a warrant out for my arrest. And I get locked up. I get into this program. I'm staying in this hotel room. And really and truly, I'm happy to be in this program because I'm off the streets. Everybody's in my room getting high. We all kicking it, right? I'm living the lifestyle that I know how to live, in which I grew up knowing everything about so well. But the drugs had me just paranoid and scared of my own shadow, right? I didn't leave the hotel room too much, and when I did, I was real agitated, real irritated, real aggressive. Nobody really wanted to talk to me. Nobody really wanted to communicate or be around me. But they still came because I had drugs, though. There was no doubt about that. But eventually the police come knocking, and I get expedited back here to Portland. I get put in a homeless shelter. They said I got early released to housing, and they put me in TPI. I don't know how that was not cool at all. I stayed at TPI for probably like 2 weeks. Yeah, I stayed at TPI for like 2 weeks. And they put me around a whole bunch of men. I was like, I've been locked up for 80 days. Where the women at? And the only way I knew how to find the women was get a bag, get a pipe, and let's figure it out. And that's what I did, and that's what happened. But it gets cold in Portland, and it gets rainy in Portland. And it was February, or it was November. It was October when I came, so it was really rainy, and it was really cold, and it was only getting worse for the months ahead of me, right? I eventually end up living under a bridge by the Madrona, right? And I set this bridge up, right? I got one of the detox. I didn't even know it was a detox mat. But I got a detox mat, I got some tarps hanging, I got some wood that I done stole from the local, from a construction area, I got a little fireplace going and stuff like that, and I sit down once, and I got my pipe, and I'm like, man, Isaiah, this is it. This is gonna be home. Yeah, I was like, nah, man, this can't be home. This can't do it because I got kids. I was broke. I was hungry. I had trench foot. I was struggling bad. And I think that's like the dope that I had in my pipe was all the dope I would have had left until I figured it out again, and I didn't know how to figure it out again, right? So another addict told me, he was like, hey man, they got this place right here called Hooper. You can go up in there and get a break. And I was like, break? He was like, yeah man, you can go up in there and get you some cereal, get you a shower. I'm like, well shit, that's what I need, shit, that's all I need. I just need a little moment to, get back to this, right? So, So I take that advice, right? And I think a few people told me about this because my pipe was dry. And people were like, well, you look like you need a break. When other addicts tell you need a break, and you need to take their advice, right? I took their advice, right? So, my phone dies, and I'm just, I'm like, man, I'm gonna make it. So I don't even know what time it is. I'm watching the sun to see when the sun comes up to like kind of figure out when I gotta be at Hooper, right? And I see the sun kind of creep, and I've been just tweaking under the bridge all night, and I'm like, okay, it's time to go. So I make it over to Hooper, and I get in there and I get my shower, and I start, feeling a little bit better and stuff like that. I get interviewed by some programs. I got turned down because of my mental health, having a history of suicide and stuff. They were like, how do we know you're not going to hurt yourself? I'm like, I don't know. How do you know? I'm trying to figure it out. I don't feel like I'm going to hurt myself no more, but can you give me a chance? They're like, no, give me a chance. Someone did. Someone. Actually, what happened was I looked out, I kind of peeked through the curtains, and I saw the rain, and it was windy, and I was like, well, do I really want to go back? I was like, nah, let me see what else they got for me. Right? Let's see what else Hooper's going to offer me. And then somebody from Central City Concern came and interviewed me, and I told her my story, and she gave me an opportunity to get into the 8x8 program. And I go to the 8x8 program, and I'm like, yeah, I'm clean. I call my baby mamas, and I tell them, hey, y'all, I'm working on myself, and, stuff like that. That's the mess. Let me get y'all into my recovery. I just got my record expunged. My 17-year-old son, who I abandoned years ago, is been spending, this is his second time coming to stay with me and been with me all summer. I have a relationship with all my kids today. And this relationship is based on spiritual principles in which this program has taught me. Because from where I come from, I had a lot of bad information. I knew nothing but gangsters, pimps, and hoes. Facts. Everybody I grew up with was from the hood. You got I went back home for an NA program, an NA convention, and I needed that because I was like, how do you stay clean in the projects? How do you stay clean in my hood? And some of the homegirls that I went to the program, to the convention with, were clean. They dudes might have been using, but they were clean. Right? Their kids was out here causing havoc, but they was clean. Right? And working a program. I'm like, so this is possible, right? And this is what I'm doing with my kids today. My stepdaughter is 17, and I just made an amends with her. And I had to tell her about, the abandonment, the abuse, the lies that I told, and how she doesn't have to forgive me, right? She has a choice in that this is for me, because I got to forgive myself. And that process for me was scary. It was fearful. I didn't check in with my sponsor before I did it. So I was like, damn, I'm missing a step here. But I checked in with him afterwards, and my sponsor told me, he was like, man, Isaiah, you got a whole bunch of people in your life that are working a program. I trust it. And I was like, oh, you trust me? Nobody's ever trusted me before. I've messed up everything in my life. I have this job where, I go into the hospital and I connect with gunshot victims. And the thing about gunshot victims is that it happens in my community more than anywhere else. And I build a caseload, and I help these young men find a way. And they're not in recovery, but I use what I've learned in this program to help me guide their steps. And it's so fulfilling because, like I said, the drugs was only a symptom for me. These cats that I'm working with, it's the lifestyle. And I'm able to give them a view of what life could possibly be like if you make some changes, if you do some work on yourself. My dad just came up for my 35th birthday, and we had a blast. I used to hate this man. But I went to a meeting when I first got clean, and somebody shared that they needed to stay out of their parents' business, right? That their parents' business was their parents' business, and they needed to love their parents for who they were individually if that was possible. So I took that. I heard that, I took that. I was like, yeah, you know what? I need to start building a relationship with my dad clean and for who I am today, to see him for who he is and accept that, right? And so when he comes up here, we go bowling, he comes to my home, he sits on my couch, he got my nephews with them. I see my son, and I see how my son interacts with him, and I'm like, you know what, I can learn a moment where I can learn something. And I was like, son, I see how you love your grandfather. Thank you. I see how you love your grandfather, and I need to love on him the same way, right? I need to see him for a little bit of what you see him with, right? So I thank you, son, for allowing me to build a perspective that I didn't never have before. But that's only because I have a mindset today of forgiveness. I have a mindset today of acceptance. These spiritual principles in which this program has taught me, and I'm practicing, is a struggle. And I say this is a struggle because I'm in a relationship too. And if you want to learn how to practice some spiritual principles, get into a relationship. Find somebody. But the beautiful thing about this relationship thing is that we both work in a program though. We both got sponsors. We both have support systems, and we're not beating up on each other. We're not belittling one another. And for me, it's the amends that I'm kind of making to my baby mamas also. That the way I treated them isn't going to be how I treat her, right? The things I did in my life back then ain't what I'm going to do today. I'm going to listen, be a little patient, and be understanding. I'm going to practice love because I don't know what love is. So she's helping me understand that. Like how to love, how to listen, how to shut up, and just be whole with somebody, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and that's, there's so much beauty in that, because I used to feel like people intentionally want to harm me. I feel like people knew better. That people were just after me to break me. And she really gives me an okay feeling. And she really puts that. I'm grateful for that. I really am grateful for that. My life today is completely different than I ever thought it could be. I'm one test away from having my GED. I have my driver's license. I have a beautiful home. I have a cat. I love my cat, man, But the one thing this program has given me is peace. I tried my hardest because life is complicated. Life is like my job be tripping, it's like the baby mamas. There's a lot of my kids, my 8-year-old is, the finances. Like, I've never done any of this stuff before. I've never stood on my own 2 feet as a man, ever. But I'm doing it. And it's only because of this program that I'm able to. It's only be able to pick up the phone, call some men, and talk about some stuff. To lean on talk to some women and be like, help me understand this from your perspective and your point of views. and being open-minded to that. This program has given me peace, and I always try to land on the positives because my life was just so full of negativity, self-doubt. Like, my value system was broken. My sponsor recently came over my house and helped me mount my TV. And the love that this program gives us, right? He sees me trying to just like, he's good at this. He's good at building shit. He's all about building shit, right? And he sees this opportunity to help me do something that he's good at, and he does. And it's funny because I say, so after we get done mounting the TV, he goes in the bathroom, uses the bathroom. He's like, hey man, you got a clog in your sink. And he unclogs my sink. I'm like, oh shit, Dad. Thank you, Dad, man. You know, man. You telling me this program works, right? When you got that type of love, you know, one of my good brothers, man, just had a baby, you know, and we talk about being a father and the joy that he has for his child, and the way I love her, you know, that's my niece, right? And the conversations we have about these relationships and these things that we're going through, this program, this fellowship, this step work, has given me something, a life that I never thought I would have. And I'm gonna keep it real, right? I'm not one of those cats that done read the 108 pages. I haven't. I just kind of highlighted some stuff before I came because I felt like I needed to because of doing all this, just to get some spiritual value. But going to meetings, talking to fellow addicts in recovery, sharing my experiences, doing the step work, having a sponsor has continuously proven, evidence-based, that you can have a life beyond your wildest dreams, right? I have some goals that I've been setting for myself, you know, that I've been able to like check off, you know. It's cool. I also say this. So when I went to that CA convention in California, I was talking to a recovering addict, and he was telling me, he was like, man, I had this little chain on and stuff like that. He was like, hey man, you know that's just a dope coupon. Like a dope coupon. He was like, bro, because if you relapse, that's like $20 worth. I was like, you're right, because these materialistic things that we get in recovery, for sure. You know, we need to have a house, an apartment. We need to have the driver's license. We need to have the jobs and stuff like that. But the only way I'm going to keep any of that is if I make time for my recovery, right? I was at work. I left work early to come do this because this is going to pay my bills way longer than that company going to be around. Right? That company could plummet tomorrow. We still gonna be in here recovering till the next day, and then the next day, and to the next day, right? And that's what I'm so grateful for this. I'm grateful for all of y'all. You know, for the people welcome to the newcomer. If you're new here, give this a chance. Just like the other addict told me when I was out there going to the Hooper, and get yourself a break. Give yourself a break. Try something new for a difference. It might feel uncomfortable. Like Miss Linda was saying, get uncomfortable, right? Don't walk into the unknown, right? I ain't never think I could go into a courtroom and get custody of my daughter, right? I ain't never been to court and it benefited me, right? But this shit benefited me. I got weekends now, and you know, shit. This y'all, you know, and also this. Thank you for listening to me and giving me your time. My name is Isaiah Maddox.